Welcome to Monday Rundown, basically the first podcast on my series of podcasts on the NFL. So first to go over some things, let's go over the first game that I wanted to highlight was Falcons versus Buccaneers. Oh boy, this game was incredibly interesting as well as just such a game that really brought back a lot of memories from Super Bowl 51. Atlanta had played one of the best games I've seen played all year. Buccaneers looked very sloppy. Tom Brady looking incredibly good with the football. Pretty good on the pass completion. No interceptions. About over 396 yards, I think. Really was throwing the ball. Two touchdowns and really played well. But when I was keeping up with the first half, decent passer completion, kind of an okay is quarterback rating, was not doing too hot. The defense was giving up way too many points. Tom Brady really wasn't he wasn't doing horrible, like throwing the game away, but he wasn't getting the offense started. Neither was that defense. This defense was considered one of the best defenses in the NFL in the first 4 weeks, and we are in week 15 with a defense that's still, I would say, at the best is questionable, and at the worst is just like every other defense in the league. Um, Especially since I myself even said Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. Dare I say, maybe even maybe in the best in the world. But then halftime struck, and it was 24-7. Um, and then the Falcons did what they have done almost all season, choke the game away. And I mean, I went back, I'm like, okay, they choked it away. Matt Ryan threw picks. Matt Ryan had such a solid game. I'd say he didn't do as good as Brady. But and this I believe is without Julio Jones. So without your main target, you still took the Buccaneers by surprise, but you still could not defeat them. You choked it away. Your defense went from dominant in the first half, and I mean dominant, making Tom Brady's life a living nightmare, making him wish he was back in New England, as we all wish he was back in New England. But to be honest with you, the defense for the Falcons is a two-faced monster where it will look like, these guys are like Super Bowl bound. I mean, these guys they look like the real deal. And the next quarter, they're choking everything away. Not just that, they just gave Antonio Brown his first touchdown since last year in week 2 against the Miami Dolphins. And it wasn't even like, oh, they must have contested it. It was a wide open lane that they blatantly said, You want your touchdown? Here you go. We're not going to stop you. What's defense anymore?" That question will never be answered, by the way. So you have just a disgusting match. I actually pulled up Matt Ryan's stats: 34 for 49 completion rate, 356 yards, and 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, and you still can't win a game. This team had playoff hopes, and I hope they never go to a Super Bowl again. Mostly because Atlanta, I have made fun of this team. I am a Patriots fan. I have made fun of this team ever since then. Because in every single game I see, choke, choke, choke. You can't win. You can't. Besides the point, basically to come out of this game, Buccaneers look to be a solidified. Pardon me, solidified for a playoff spot. Falcons. Your owner Arthur Blank said, "Hey, I want results this season. If I don't see results, I'm willing to blow it up." And I think the Atlanta Falcons are done. On to the next subject of debate. I know some people would think the Miami game would be next because, of course, I decided to switch things up real quick. We're going to talk about Rams versus Jets because that makes me feel tingly on the inside. The Rams at home. Lost to the New Jersey, sorry, I gotta give them respect for 1 week, the New York Jets. They have been winless, they have been awful, they have been garbage, and yet you beat a legit team. I don't get the Jets. I have to say to any Jets fans who'd ever listen, if you listen at all, or are a Jets fan, more importantly, are you a Jets fan? Your organization is more incompetent than the Cleveland Browns have been over the last 20 years. I'm not talking about the last couple of years where they've been decently competent. I'm talking about 20 years. Like, what are you doing? You had Trevor Lawrence, Clemson quarterback who looks to be possibly one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time since probably Tim Tebow, in your hands. But Adam Gase says, what if I won? Well, you won. Not only that, you won, you are now the second pick in the draft. You choked away to Jacksonville. So Trevor Lawrence should be like, I'm ready to come to the NFL because this team has some decent youth, although I think personally the Jags need Minshew. That's a real man. But they don't need a quarterback, but at the same time, I don't want to see Fields go to the Jets, but I have a feeling he actually might go to Jacksonville. So props to the Jets team. I think they did really well. I think they played a pretty solid game. Darnold did not look great, but he definitely did not look as horrible as I thought he would. Frank Gore, at the age of about 30, looking still really good running the ball. But if I'm looking at the Rams, why do you have to do this? Jared Goff is not your answer. I mean, I'm sorry. The dude can put up 330 yards, 43 to 45 pass completion rate, but that can be one game. And that's kind of what I think Jared Goff has come down to is he is a one game, he'll look like the best quarterback in the league, dare I say that. The next week, he'll look like, why is this quarterback even in the league? But this is just such a disgusting play. And it's a waste of Aaron Donald. It's a waste of Sean McVay. And, okay, this is the stats of Jared Goff. 22 for 34, not bad. 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. This has been one of his better games. I mean, he hasn't been horrible, but come on. That's his best? And I mean, I've looked at a bunch of the stats. The Rams defense plays so well, but just not a good football team. The Rams, I think, have one of the best coaches in the league, but honestly, guys, oh,